Hi, my name's Chelsea, this is baby George, and welcome to our baby journey. Today I will be listing the top 10 most important things to know when starting your baby on solids. Hi, so before we start, just a quick disclaimer that all the following information is just research that I've done through reading books, journal articles, blogs, and also information that I have been able to gather from my pediatrician and also a nurse practitioner who specializes in allergy research. But this in no way is the be all and end all list. So for further information, please do your own research or go and consult your own doctor or nutritionist for specific needs to your own baby. Number 1, when to start feeding baby. So recommendations that you'll see online say to start feeding baby between 4 and 6 months, but not before 4 months. This is starting to get updated to actually being closer to 6 months. So the reason why they kind of give you 4 to 6 months is to give you a bit of a range that babies do tend to develop at their own rate. But 4-month-olds are still really, really little, and their gastrointestinal tract is still very, very immature. So there is new research saying that if you start solids before 4 months or even before 5 months, you can actually cause a bit of damage to your baby's gut. It's actually better just to give your baby formula or breast milk up until 6 months because that's all they need. They don't really need anything more than that. It's at 6 months when their iron stores start to wear off a little bit, and you need to supplement that, with iron-rich foods. There are also signs of readiness. So whether your baby can sit up and hold their head by themselves, whether they're starting to look at your food and seem really interested in it and maybe even reaching for it, and whether they're able to physically swallow something. So if you go to give them a little bit of even like a little bit of puree, or even if it's just medication, like a little bit of baby paracetamol or something for whatever reason, and they're unable to swallow it, or they start to spit it out with their tongue like bleh, bleh, they're not ready for solids. But if they're swallowing it, seeming happy, and looking really interested in your food, it's time to start solids. Number 2, choose whether to use the baby-led weaning principle, feeding purees, or a mix of both. So baby-led weaning is the principle that you let your baby kind of direct their own food journey. You don't really give them purees, you give them more finger foods, and you cook them to be quite soft. You cut them into kind of baby-sized grasping bits, and they kind of pick up and choose what they want, and they gnaw at it. Things to look out for with that is the fact that they will have a bit of choking, so you do need to have a little bit of knowledge on what to do if there is a bit of choking going on. And then I think also kind of having an idea of things that are going to be baby friendly for your baby at that time. So if your baby is 6 months old, you want the finger foods to be super soft. So soft enough that you can kind of crush it with your fingers. Because obviously a lot of babies at that age have not many teeth, if any teeth at all. So they need to be able to get through it with only a little bit of force. Do some research on that. It's a really, really good principle because it does encourage babies to play with their food, and it sparks curiosity. It's actually a bit of a fun sensory activity to do with your baby, and it can prevent fussiness in the future. Conversely, you can just do purees. So make your own purees and you feed your baby with a spoon. There's not a whole lot of baby-led activity with that, but you know what you're feeding them. There's a lot less risk of choking, And obviously you can change textures as your baby gets older. So you can start with super soft all the way to being quite chunky. I have decided to do a mix of both. I love the baby-led weaning principle. I love the fact that babies can play with their food, that they can, it's a sensory activity, they can learn, and you can kind of put different colors out there. But I quite like the idea of having a bit of puree because you can add in quite a lot of iron into your purees, and then you are guaranteed that they're getting that little bit more iron into their diet. While with baby-led weaning, you're not as guaranteed to have enough iron in their diet. So yes, I've done a mix of both. I sometimes will put just like a chunk of puree onto my baby's high chair table and let him go for it. I also now let him play with his own spoon. So I'll sometimes put a bit of puree on his spoon, pass him the spoon, he'll put it all over his face and then finally find his mouth and eat it. He's getting a lot better with that now. And we're also starting finger food. So introducing that baby-led weaning idea of having soft finger foods that he can chew on, as well as having boiled meats. Sorry, that's Poppy the dog. So we have given him whole chunks of boiled steak, boiled chicken, that he can just gnaw at, and he's able to get a lot of iron out of that. Number 3, what foods to start with? Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to start your baby off with iron-fortified baby rice cereal. It's not necessary. I do suggest starting with vegetables and introducing a new vegetable every few days, and give them the one vegetable for those few days with the same kind of texture, and then start on a new one. Note that I have said not said fruits. Your baby will already have a preference towards sweet, so when you introduce fruits, they're going to prefer that over vegetables. So it's kind of better to start fruits a little later on, kind of down the line, because they'll like it anyway. Vegetables like sweet potato or potato, pumpkin, carrot, zucchini, and whether you're doing baby-led weaning or purees, you can puree, mash, or just steam finger foods. After you've kind of introduced one thing at a time, you can start to mix and match things up. And you can add in some meats, you can add in some grains, so things like quinoa, rice. They're great things to add in a bit later on down the line as well. You can mash or puree them up, whatever you prefer. And then kind of as they get a bit older, start to play around with textures. Number 4, introducing high allergen foods early. Now, high allergen foods are generally peanuts, dairy, fish, soy, and gluten. The best way to introduce these is to mix a very, very small amount, like 1/8 of a teaspoon, into a food that your baby has already had before and that you know that they're fine with. This is so that you can keep an eye on their reactions. An anaphylactic reaction is most likely to occur in the first 15 minutes, in the first 15 minutes of your baby having that allergen. There are reactions that can occur up to a few days later, but they are less common. This is why it's best to introduce one allergen each week, and then you can keep an eye on your baby for that week. If you know that your baby has a high allergen risk, so if you as a parent have a food allergy, or your baby has a sibling that has a food allergy, or you've been breastfeeding and had some dairy or gluten, and you know that your baby has a bit of a reaction to that, please see your doctor before introducing any high allergen foods. They're going to give you the best information possible and even come up with a plan on how you can introduce these high allergen foods to your baby. Number 5, have a way to combat inevitable baby constipation. I have made another video that is specifically about the constipation cure. It is a very natural way of combating constipation, and it works for our baby. But if your baby has any issues with constipation and you're quite worried about the little baby, please go see your doctor. You may need medication or you may need some further information. Number 6, make your own purees, mashes, finger foods, whatever you've decided to do. If you can, make your own. You will then know exactly what's in them. You can limit salt and sugar, and there's not going to be any additives or chemicals in what you have personally made. It's also super easy and cost effective and environmentally friendly. So I usually will make a big bulk puree. I might make a few different types on one day, say a Sunday. I'll freeze it all in little 1 to 2 portion sizes and get them out later on in the week as needed. This way is also great if you want to mix and match different fruits, vegetables, and meats. And we've found it's been super duper easy with our food journey. Number 7, ensure you have a safe place to feed your baby. Now, there are so many high chairs out there that you can buy, but seriously, you just need something that's pretty simple. So you can have either a high chair or a booster seat, whatever works in your space and whatever works for your budget. High chairs can be, anywhere from just something that's just a little seat with a little table to one of those super high-tech gadgety things where the seat can totally, go back and you have all of these different ways to seat your baby. Really doesn't matter in the long run, as long as you have somewhere where they can sit and be upright, where they're supported, where they go for all of their meals, so it has that continuity effect, and where you can sit with them and watch them and kind of interact with them while they eat. Number 8, go at your baby's pace. Now, some babies will eat like a pro from the get-go, and they'll be just shoveling food in their mouth and really enjoying what they're having. Our baby was not one of those babies, and it's actually taken him a good month and a half to get to the point where he's starting to actually enjoy eating and feeding himself and actually swallowing the solids that we're giving him. Don't worry about it at all. Your baby will get there and they will soon enjoy and eat whatever it is you put in front of them. 9, set your baby up for a lifetime of healthy eating. Now that's kind of comes in 2 parts. Part number 1 is what you give them. So try and aim for meals that are high in vegetables and meats and really good fats with some grains thrown in there. Try not to give them any added salt or sugar or kind of, really bad saturated fats. Second part is babies like to copy what their parents do. So try and eat a healthy diet and emulate what you want your baby to be doing in the future, because they will love to see you eating the same vegetables that they're eating. They'll love to see that you're having the same meat that they're having. They'll be more likely to continue this in the future. 10, accept you will have mess. This kind of goes without saying, this is going to be a very, very, very messy experience. But if you accept that from the get-go, you'll feel a little bit less stressed about it and your baby will have so much fun. Let them play, let them make a mess, let them do kind of what they want to do with this food, and know that you'll just have to clean it up later and it'll be fine. Your baby will love you for it. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe for more fun tips and tricks on our baby journey. I'll see you next time.